Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sync Up Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things OneDrive. OneDrive is the home for all of the files that you care about most, and we are here to take you behind the scenes to get the insights and the knowledge to make your experience and your users' experiences better. My name is Stephen Rice. I'm a Principal Product Manager here on the OneDrive team, and I'm joined, as always, by my fellow OneDrive aficionado and Teams message ping receiver, Arvind Mishra.
King of Teams, I think, is the name. Hey, everyone. I'm Arvind. I'm also a Principal Product Manager on the OneDrive team. This is our last Sync Up episode for 2024. We wanted to spend this episode looking back at the last year we've had, and then we're going to spend a little bit of time looking ahead to some exciting features that are coming out in January. And to that end, I'm excited to welcome back to the show Irfan Shadad and our first-time guest, Trent Green. Guys, welcome to Sync Up. What's going on?
Hey, Stephen. Hey, Arvind. Great to be here with all of you. I was the very first podcast, Sync Up podcast we had. I was there.
When we relaunched, yeah.
That was an older
Yeah. And I've been waiting for you all to invite me again. It's just taken a little while, but I'm glad it's just happened. So happy to be here with all of you. But just to introduce myself, my name is Irfan Shadad. I'm also a Principal Product Manager on the OneDrive team, and super excited to be here with all of you.
Yeah. Trent, first time. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is a great experience, and excited to be here to talk about some of the upcoming stuff on OneDrive. My name is Trent Green. I'm a product manager on the SharePoint OneDrive side, working on archive and backup are my two latest big projects I'm working on. Great to be here.
Man, archive and backup, two words that all admins and lovers of files are excited to hear. But before we can get into the meat of that discussion, we need to have our little bit of an icebreaker. Since we're in that kind of reflective mood, looking back on 2024, I wanted to ask each of you, what are your favorite OneDrive moments from this past year? Could be a feature, could be an experience you had. Arvind, you're looking perplexed, so I'm going to put you on the spot. What would it be for you?
Well, Stephen, there are so many good moments from last year. It's hard to choose. Look, I'm partial to the OneDrive Fall event that we had for a lot of reasons. I think we showed off a lot of really cool stuff that's going to be released in 2025. There was a ton of stuff that we showed off from like both the commercial and the consumer side. And it was just a really, really great put together show is what I'd say. And we also got to, for the first time ever, got to do the podcast in person. And so that was a lot of fun as well. Irfan, what about you, man?
One of the biggest events that we have, also in addition to the fall event, is also the M365 Collab conference. Happened earlier in May, and some of us were up there at the conference, and it was absolutely fantastic to see the level of engagement from the audience. So we had a number of sessions on OneDrive. One of my biggest memories was I was walking in the hallway at the hotel, and somebody pats me at the back, and it's one of our customers. I didn't get the name, but it's thanking me and the team for all the material that we had prepared for the session and how important and how much they put an importance and emphasis on us preparing that content for them. And I think it means a lot. I think it takes a lot of work, but also it's good to also know that there are a ton of our customers who look forward to that content that we prepare for them and help them be successful in their roles, especially our folks in the IT admins and end users, and how the features that we build make them successful at work and what they do. So that's absolutely standout moment for most of us.
I'm going to pile on, Irfan. You stole mine, so I was going to make it a +1. But the M365 Community Conference in May, which, by the way, a lot of our sessions are available on the Microsoft Community Learning channel, so you should check those out if you haven't. But that was the first conference I'd gone to since pandemic era kind of change conferences. And there is nothing quite like the energy of, getting on stage, delivering a presentation to, a couple hundred people who are there to learn specifically from you. And then particularly for me is always that moment where you finish the talk, you walk off the stage, and then a bunch of people swarm the front of the room with questions about these very specific minutiae. Where you're I know these things, and I forget sometimes that customers care about that type of detail too. And just getting that experience was fantastic. But Trent, bring us home. What was your favorite moment from this last year?
My favorite moment from this last year was actually seeing some of the AI stuff really start to kick it off in OneDrive and SharePoint. I've been really impressed with some of the content AI stuff that's going on with columns and using autofill columns there. Really cool to see us actually making big strides in the new era of AI. So I know it's cliche, but it's kind of cool to see all this stuff pan out.
Nothing wrong with cliche. It's all exciting.
Like I'm sensing like a theme across all the things that we sort of talked about. It's like, it's actually, a theme of like shipping products to customers and, putting value in their hands. And so I think like just speaks to, I think the team is very passionate about delivering features to customers. And so, I think it comes across out of all four of our points of view here. But let's switch gears. Irfan, now you within the OneDrive team are considered to be the keeper of the OneDrive roadmap. And so you're a very popular guy here with all the customers. So can you tell the audience what that means? Like what do you have to go through to be the keeper of the roadmap? How might one become a keeper themselves?
Keeper of the OneDrive roadmap sounds like a title from some fantasy novel, or doesn't it? Like, in reality, it's a bit less mystical, a lot of fun nonetheless. I get to work with amazing fellow PMs like all of you. We listen keenly to our customers, to our monthly office hours for OneDrive that we do. But if you haven't attended one, please do. Shameless plug here, aka.ms/OneDrive office hours. We get to hear from our customers on a monthly basis. We have a lot of customer interactions. We plan and prioritize features and improvements that will make on OneDrive product even more awesome for our users. It's like, being chefs in this one large OneDrive kitchen, keeping our customers informed what's cooking and getting their feedback on how we can get even better. So it's a lot of fun.
I was going to say, I think the chef analogy works very well, because I was going to say, as the keeper of the OneDrive roadmap, I think the main thing that means is, like a chef, your job is to go yell at all the sous chefs and the specific stations, be like, hey, Arvind,
that's right.
I need the roadmap updates for the new marketing plans or the new features. We need archive. We need backup. Dates, give me the numbers.
Yeah, and it's a thing that keeps us on our toes as PMs. We know that there's like thousands of customers waiting for us and eager to hear from us. So it's a lot of fun.
Heard, chef. Walk into the past.
Exactly. Okay, so Irfan, as the keeper, it also gives you a lot of insight across the board. Like Arvind and I, we cheat a little bit because we also do sync up, which means we get exposed to a lot of the team. But you truly have this global view of what OneDrive is doing, what we're shipping, that a lot of folks don't have. So as we look back at this year, we've talked on the podcast about, we talked about the October event and some of the big features there. We've talked about a lot of the Copilot features. But in your perspective, from your view, what are some of the big features that have shipped for OneDrive this last year? And what were those features for folks who may not know?
It's been a busy last several months. And our team has been at it, focused on making sure that we add value that is absolutely critical for our customers. So I'll highlight a few of them. Some of my favorite ones I'll highlight, and if I forget, just remind me. Number one I'll highlight is the offline mode for recent document libraries and shortcut folders. Has been a feature that has been on our roadmap for a while, but we're finally getting to where we're going to be 100% deployed in production this month in November. So
Woo!
Yes. So for those who don't know what this feature is, it's basically it enables you to view, edit, and organize your recent documents and shortcut folders, even when you're offline, on the go. So if you don't have a reliable internet connection, you can still make changes to these folders and files. And the best part is that even when I'm online, some of the more common functions like browsing large libraries or filtering documents, everything is faster, snappier, and more responsive when you're working on those files. So in a lot of instances, it's up to 3 times more faster than what it was before. So we're super excited about having this feature in the hands of our customers. I love this feature. We announced this earlier this year, as I mentioned. We're going to be 100% deployed later this month, which is super exciting. That's one that comes to my mind.
I know it's one of those things, like, obviously as PMs, we get really excited in a lot of cases about like the new shiny things that we get to build, the new functionality, the new behavior. But my experience from talking to customers is like the number one thing we can deliver in most cases is that reliability and performance.
Yeah.
And the offline mode bit is, like I said, hugely impactful for that. Like, it sounds like such a weird thing, but like the demo of just like, here's OneDrive, on just your internet connection. Here's OneDrive using the new offline mode improvements to speed things up.
Exactly. The duality of it, like the value of like just being able to still be productive while on the go, but also like even when you're online, the aspects around performance is absolutely welcoming for our customers.
Yeah, so reliability is always a good thing, but I feel like, Irfan, there was a feature in the last year that constantly would get applause every time we showed it. Like, what am I talking about here?
I know. So it's the colored folders, right? So
Always colored folders.
Always colored folders.
Right. So folks from our audience, if they haven't followed, so we announced the colored folders in OneDrive Web. It was last October. Our customers loved it. We got standing ovation, which is all great, in terms of making our customers happy. But one of the immediate questions we got was like, when are we going to get colored folders in File Explorer, in Windows File Explorer? And so we're super duper excited about having this capability inside of our Windows File Explorer now. It allows you to assign different colors to your folders, makes it easier for you to organize and visually distinguish between different projects and whatnot. I think of my sort of digital workspace as like my closet, like, without colored folders, like having all of your clothes in like this one giant pile. Sure, you can find your favorite shirt.
Whoa. Irfan, when did you look in my closet? That doesn't seem okay.
All of my shirts are blue.
That pile is organized.
Right. and it gets harder, right? So as you age and having it all in one place. So with colored folders, sort of like gives you that ability, like having this beautifully organized sort of closet where each type of clothing has its own section, and each section is color coded, so you can find what you need at a glance. And so yeah, that's how I think of it. It's we've shipped it last year in OneDrive Web, as I mentioned. We're now shipping it inside our Windows File Explorer. Our customers love it, and we love that they love it. So super excited about that part. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. What are some of the other features from this last year that you've OneDrive has released that you're particularly excited about, Irfan? What else should customers know about if they haven't checked it out already?
So I have quite a few, and it'll probably take a lot of time, but I'll just quickly highlight a few. So I know we've heard we've talked about Copilot in OneDrive. I'll briefly cover some of my favorite things inside of those capabilities like Copilot in OneDrive. So we've all heard of like summarization, how Copilot in OneDrive can help you quickly summarize. So I personally love it when I'm late for a meeting. I need to get a handle on a 25-page document. I can simply click on the hero menu inside of OneDrive Web, summarize the document, a 25-page document, and get up to speed on that with just a click of a button. So I love it. I think one of the things that our customers have loved is being able to compare multiple files at the same time without even opening them, and being able to have them all result inside of a table, and being able to compare and contrast between multiple files, reason through this. Again, something that you can do in a matter of seconds without even opening those files. That's value that that our customers appreciate, and also like some of the bread and butter functionality that our customers really appreciate. So I'll give you an example of one that we've heard a bunch from our customers about in office hours and otherwise. Is like confirmation on deletes for shared content. This is something that we would hear a lot. Our IT admins especially would say like there are a lot of support tickets that get open because a user accidentally deleted a shared folder, led to like support ticket being open and being a disruption of workflow, disruption of productivity. So we're super excited about having this ability to have delete confirmation for shared content feature available for all of your OneDrive and document library files and folders to prevent these accidental deletions of important shared content. And the reason why we feel like this is important again is in terms of lost productivity. I'll also touch on maybe a couple more. One of the ones that we announced back in May during the M365 Collab conference was improved file viewer. So So we have almost a brand new updated file viewer for Microsoft 365 that can preview more than 300 file types in OneDrive, SharePoint, Teams, and other apps. It's up to 2 times faster. So talking about fundamentals and performance, it's a lot more snappier than the previous version that we had, and includes functionalities like people presence that we've added to it. It's editing PDF files and images, annotating ebooks and favoriting files, and securely requesting for e-signatures and all that good stuff. And the best part is that it's also packaged with Copilot. So out of the box, you can just open a file in this improved file viewer. You can summarize documents, engage in Q&A using Copilot right out of the box inside of this new file viewer.
It is crazy to think through the number. It's one thing to be in the middle of it, but as we look back on the year, just like the number of endpoints from sync to web to mobile to sharing to file, like, every bit gets a little bit of love and improvement.
Yeah.
That's been that is a full list, I'd say, of content that we've released this year. I'm curious, Irfan, what do we have coming up? I know you mentioned offline mode in OneDrive is rolling out right now, but what else do we have coming up, in the next few months that you want to tell our audience about?
Yeah, so I'll speak of one that is currently we're in the process of rolling out. And we should be 100% rolled out soon, is the improved search. That's one of my favorite features in the last few months, is because of how I use OneDrive Web and how I search for my files inside of OneDrive app. So this new improved search functionality will give you new filters, controls for different file types and different date filters. And scoping option that you can have now. With, it'll help you, quickly get the exact result, exact file or folder that you're looking for, whether it's stored in like OneDrive or shared library or a folder from a teammate, is an example. So I that's one of my features that I.
And it's faster too, right? That's the other thing.
Yes. It absolutely is a game changer, because we all live in files during our work hours. We get file, we create new content, and we get a lot of content that is shared with us. So it gets harder for us to locate and search for the right file. There are a lot of other improvements that we're making in terms of different views that we have. So for example, people views, you can just check, find, sometimes you don't remember the name of the file, but you remember who shared with you. So you'll be able to just look for that, Arvind shared this file with me. I know it was a PDF or a Word document. So we'll have those controls inside of OneDrive, which is absolutely great. Awesome.
All right, Trent, I don't want to leave you out. I know, Irfan is the keeper of the roadmap, but are there any features from your perspective that, released in the last year that you've been particularly excited about?
Well, obviously I'm a little biased, but I think my favorite feature that's been released in the past year is Site Archive GA and also the backup GA, which both happened in the past calendar year. Really cool to get those features out of the warehouse into production, to see customers actually adopting and get these things out to some big customers who've been asking them for years. So that was awesome to see. Adoption has been fantastic. We've gotten some great feedback, and both those products are getting huge enhancements in the future. So those were definitely the biggest moments, the biggest features in my book.
Awesome. And anything coming down the line for next year that you're excited about?
Yeah, we're adding, as I mentioned, a lot more enhancements to backup and to archive. On the archive front, we have file level archive coming next year, which has been the biggest customer ask and a massive undertaking for the whole SharePoint archive team. So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, file archive was something that we showed at the October event, and so I think we got some pretty good feedback on it. I love the whole user model about how your files show up inline. You click on them; they're not put somewhere else. They're right in front of me, so I don't know. I don't have to worry about where they went. Yeah, it seems like a very logical user model for end users, right?
100%. And from the customers we talked to so far, they love it. It's inline. It means that they don't lose context of where those files are living. They don't feel like they've lost those files. It just means that they're less in your face every day, and when they want them, it's easy to find them, and they're just right there where you need them. So it's a great feature that people are really excited about.
Yeah, I you had this stat that you shared at one point that I remember you saying it was some insane percentage of content that goes unused after 6 months or a year, or what was that stat?
Yeah, I think it's that somewhere around 70% of all the content in OneDrive and SharePoint hasn't been touched for a year. And that number keeps on growing as the service gets larger and content stays and is kept in the service for longer periods of time. So it's kind of crazy to see how much of that content isn't being actively used. And the more we can do to declutter that and make it easier for end users and IT admins to manage that content, the better.
Yeah, totally. Between site archive and file archive, I mean, yeah, it's a godsend at this point.
So let's move into our second topic. So I wanted to dive more deeply into a particular set of changes that are coming about in January around so-called unlicensed user changes. Now, that being said, Trent, you're the expert here. What are unlicensed users? Let's start there. I am a simple man. I collaborate. I don't know what unlicensed users means.
Yeah, and that's kind of the goal, Stephen, is that if you are a regular user, you shouldn't know about these things. If you have a license and you're collaborating, shouldn't concern you. This is more for the edge case we have when some accounts we have in the service aren't licensed correctly. And so when I'm asked what is an unlicensed account, I kind of bucket it into two buckets. The first is where a user is actively in the service, still in Entra ID, and the user simply has had the license removed. It's oftentimes accidental, but let's say, Stephen, you are collaborating as usual, nothing has changed, and then your license is no longer present. We're going to start to look at those, and we consider those as unlicensed users. The second bucket is if you were to leave your company, your OneDrive account goes to your manager for a certain period of time and then sticks around for that retention period and then honors any purview retention requirements as well. And those requirements can be retention policies, they can be legal or e-discovery holds, and a couple other things that keep your data around for a specified amount of time. And if you've left the company, you no longer have a license that is associated with that OneDrive account that sticks around. So those are the two big buckets. A user who's still active and doesn't have a license anymore. And the second bucket is a user who has left the company and their OneDrive account has stuck around for a whole host of reasons.
Cool. I feel like I'm smarter already by you just explaining that to me, Trent. Thank you so much. But okay, so then we've got these two buckets of types of users that make up our unlicensed OneDrive accounts. What is going to be changing pretty soon with how OneDrive handles these unlicensed accounts?
Yeah, it's a fantastic question and one we get a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah. To answer that question, I think it's helpful to understand how the deprovisioning pipeline works today. So I want to kind of dig a little more into what I mentioned a minute ago. When a user is deleted from Entra ID, and I know I pronounced Entra and Entra differently, I'm not sure why. But so when a user is deleted from Entra ID, it kicks off the deprovisioning pipeline. And that starts with their manager getting their account for what's by default 30 days up to 10 years, the OneDrive retention period setting that you can change in the SharePoint Admin Center. And after that, we then will check to see if there's any retention policies or legal holds. If so, we will honor those for their full duration. Then the OneDrive account will go to the recycle bin. After 93 days in the recycle bin, it will get purged from the service entirely. And so that whole pipeline, that 4 or 5 step flow, is going to remain unchanged. So we're not actually changing anything about that flow. What we are changing is 93 days after the user becomes unlicensed, after the account becomes unlicensed, we're going to archive that account. So all the steps of the deprovisioning pipeline will stay the same, but after 93 days, they will be in the archive state throughout the rest of that process.
Okay, and just to recap a little bit, what is different when a user is in this kind of archive state versus not?
Yeah, that's a great question as well. When the user is archived or the account is archived, nobody can access that content. Not the IT admin, not the end user, no one. Just like Microsoft 365 site archive on SharePoint, the entire OneDrive account will be archived and inaccessible. If you want to get access to that content again, the IT admin can reactivate that account, which will take 24 hours, and will require the IT admin to first set up billing to pay for that reactivation fee.
Gotcha. So like the content's not gone. You can get it back if you need it, but it's out of the way for most people, basically.
Yeah, it's still there, still safe and sound, still durable, just like all your other SharePoint content, just as secure. And as I mentioned, still honors all your purview retention requirements. It just means you can't access it right now. And it's not a good place to store information or data that you want to collaborate on, obviously.
Cool. Okay, so then if I'm an admin and this is coming, what do I need to do to get my organization ready to support this?
Yeah. So we announced this a few months ago. And with that announcement, we launched a new reports page in the SharePoint Admin Center. And that reports page tells your IT admin about how much unlicensed data you have, the different kind of buckets of the unlicensed data. Is it being kept because of retention policies or because the retention period's too long? And it even gives the IT admin a report to download a list of every single account that the system thinks is unlicensed. And in that report, it includes information about why that OneDrive account is still around, why it hasn't been deleted yet, and also why we consider it unlicensed. So my recommendation to any IT admin would be to go look at that report, study it, and make sure you understand why we consider these things unlicensed. And then you can go and delete some of these accounts, or you can reevaluate your retention policies or retention period setting. So I definitely think it's a good thing to go check out that report. And we're also going to be enhancing it before we start enforcing in January. So it's a great place to get to know, is it can be a place that you can see all those unlicensed accounts and even reactivate them in the future.
And when do all these changes go into effect, Trent, as far as, the change to archive or archiving this unlicensed content and the like?
Yeah, so we're going to start enforcing on January 27th of 2025. And by enforcing, I mean we're going to start looking at the unlicensed OneDrive's accounts that are 93 days unlicensed and putting them through this flow. Now, to be fair to end users, we want to make sure that no one is surprised by this change. So when an account is unlicensed, we're going to first put it into a read-only mode after 60 days of being unlicensed. Then 33 days after it's in the read-only mode, it will get archived. So when I say we're going to start enforcing on January 27th, we're going to start rolling out that read-only mode for previously long unlicensed accounts, and then we'll start putting them into the archive state in March and a little beyond that.
Hey, so Trent, I know the answer to this question because we've worked together on this feature, but I'm going to ask it anyway so that you can tell the audience. I think it's important. You sort of touched on this about like what was going to happen to end users. Like, can you describe like the experience that if I'm an unlicensed user, what am I going to see when I go and use any of these products, like whether it's our sync product through File Explorer or through OneDrive Web, or can you explain that?
Yeah, so for both those on the sync client and on the OneDrive Web, user will start seeing a banner that says your account has been unlicensed for 60 days or more, and then we'll warn them that if they don't get a license, they're going to become archived in 33 days after that on the 93rd unlicensed day total. And it will also recommend that they go reach out to their IT admin to go get a license. If they're an active user and they're using OneDrive, they should be licensed. And so we highly recommend they reach out to their IT admin to do exactly that.
Perfect. And just to be clear, as an IT admin, I've set up my e-discovery. I've got retention policies that are, based on my industry. Does this impact all of that, or do I need to worry about those policies no longer being respected?
That is a incredible question, and the single most common question we get on the unlicensed.
You're very complimentary on our questions.
I do love your questions.
I mean, I don't know if it's fair because we do a little bit of prep here, and Trent wrote the questions for Arvind and I to ask because Arvind and I are very lazy.
That's true.
So Trent is sitting here complimenting us, but he's really complimenting himself.
Patting myself on the back over here. So retention policies and e-discovery is still all gonna work out of the box. And this is the same for both Microsoft 365 Archive for sites and for the new OneDrive unlicensed work, where if you're running e-discovery across your entire company, you will still find archived content. You can still export that archived content from e-discovery. The export might take a little bit longer because we have to go get it from the cold storage, but it will still work. Retention policies will still be honored. So if I have a retention policy that says delete this file on day X, it will delete that file whether it is on an active account or an archived account. So everything will still work out of the box with your existing purview settings and policies. So you shouldn't have to worry about that at all. We will always honor your stuff.
Awesome. And if folks want to learn more about this beyond just listening to us talk about it, what other resources are available? Where should folks go?
There's a fantastic FAQ on the Manage Your Unlicensed Accounts Learn documentation.
Check out the show notes for the podcast. Look below. We will make sure it's included so folks can find it.
Awesome.
Cool, man. All this talk about archiving and cold storage makes you think about Star Wars. It's like carbonite and Frozen and all that. But anyway.
Sorry, now I'm just in a whole different world where like we're dipping files into the carbonite chamber and we got to send in Princess Leia to unfreeze your files.
That's right. Exactly. See,
I don't know.
we're on the same wavelength. But listen, I feel like I learned a lot today on Archive, even though it's a project that I work on with Trent. And I learned a lot from Irfan today, even though we worked together on the fall event and a lot of other demos and stuff. But listen, we want to thank both of you for sharing all of your knowledge with the audience. If people want to learn more about you or connect with you out in the social spheres, how can people find you and learn more about you? Where should we direct the audience to?
For me, for Trent, I would say LinkedIn for me would be fantastic. I believe it's just Trent-Green.
Nice and easy.
Excellent. What about you, Irfan?
LinkedIn for me as well, Irfan Shaddad. I think a lot of our customers and our partners and MVPs are already connected with me on LinkedIn. We're actually active. We post a bunch of stuff in terms of all the latest and greatest on OneDrive. I also encourage everybody to go check out OneDrive blog. That is one place where we share all the latest updates. So that's highly recommended that, just go there, bookmark whatever the thing is that you do to make sure that you have easy access to that site. I recommend that. For me personally, you can also reach out to me on X or Twitter. It's like iShaddad handle, ISHHDAD. You can do that as well.
Irfan, you mentioned earlier the OneDrive customer office hours. What was the AKA link for that if folks want to join in, talk to the product group directly?
Yeah, it's aka.ms/OneDrive office hours.
Perfect. If you want to find Arvind or myself, you can find me on LinkedIn at srice08, and Arvind Mishra is Arvind Mishra 1.
Cool. And as always, we love hearing from you, our listeners. You can reach us on Twitter via our handle, which is @OneDrive. And if you've got a question, tag it with #SyncUp. You can visit our page for links, resources, and more at aka.ms/SyncUp. And depending on when this airs, I also want to say to our European listeners, if you're attending ESPC in Sweden, Michaela Barrett, a previous guest who's been on, I think, a couple of times now, and myself, we're hosting 2 presentations. One's going to be an overview on all the latest with OneDrive's, which is kind of an overview, and then another where we're going to be deep diving on all things Copilot inside of OneDrive. And I think we're going to show you some features that maybe you haven't seen before. So please stop on by. We love to say hi. That rhymes. That sounds terrible. Please stop on by and see us.
If you can't make ESPC, you can always send us questions here at SyncUp directly at syncupquestions@microsoft.com. Don't forget to subscribe to SyncUp wherever you get your podcasts, whether that's your Spotify's, your YouTube's, your Apple Podcasts. I'm running out of podcast apps, but all of those places. If you enjoy SyncUp, if you find it useful, make sure you tell your friends. Word of mouth is one of the best ways to get people engaged with the product, help us grow the show. And if you're curious about other Microsoft podcasts, you should check out aka.ms/Microsoft/podcasts. And as always, I want to extend a huge thank you to Lisa, who is responsible for making this podcast happen.
Thanks for listening to SyncUp. We've been your hosts, Stephen and Arvind, and we want to wish everyone a happy and restful holiday season. We'll catch up with you in 2025.